Welcome to the Divine Soul Journey Evolved podcast, your space for all things awakening, healing, and consciousness shifting. I'm Stephanie Jameson, psychic medium, author, spiritual and heart-based business mentor, here to help guide you through the incredible, sometimes wild, yet always transformative journey of spiritual evolution. Together, we'll dive deep into thought-provoking conversations, perspective-shifting insights, heart-awakening moments, and reflect on conscious relationship growth. This podcast is designed to be a safe space for awakening and evolving souls, a place to inspire, motivate, encourage, and let's be real, at times may even trigger you into the next version of who it is that you're being invited to become. If you're feeling the call to step into your highest self and embrace the magic of some serious transformation, you're in the right place. Because soul growth and evolution is meant to be beautiful, empowering, and yes, despite how it may feel at times, even fun. So take a deep breath, set the intention to open your heart, and let's dive in. Hi, Tamar. Thank you so much for being with us. I'm so excited to have you on the podcast today.
Hi, Stephanie. I'm excited to be here. I want to see what's going to come out of our conversation.
Yeah. When you and I were talking a few weeks ago, you have so many cool things that you bring to the table. And one of the reasons I wanted to have you on the podcast is a big part of what I'm wanting to do and teach here is to help people bridge the gap between spirituality, science, intuition, and logic. And you really have this cool, blending science knowledge with the soul vibe about you. And I dig that. And so I can't wait to kind of dive in here. You bring so many cool credentials with you. You're a doctor of pharmacy, you're a life coach, you're a body talk practitioner, access bar facilitator. You've studied the Kabbalah for 35 years. Kind of just dive in and tell us who you are and let's just kind of go with this.
Okay, so my journey started when I was 5 years old, and I wanted to be a doctor. But life takes you different ways, and I decided to go to pharmacy school. The first day I walked in, I was going, this isn't everything. This isn't gonna do it. So at that time, I was also still, I had started studying Kabbalah, and then I started looking into alternatives, homeopathy, naturopathy, and later on in my journey, I found body talk and access consciousness. And there is a place for everything. There's a place for medicine. There's a place for spirituality. And then there's other wonderful modalities that can take us to different levels of being, whatever we need at a particular time that we need it in our journey.
Mm-hmm. It's so fascinating to me that you are a doctor of pharmacy and you're really finding yourself talking more about alternative ways of healing. And that's, again, one of the big reasons that I wanted to talk to you. We're going to venture in that a little bit more. But for those of us or those who are listening who don't necessarily know what the Kabbalah is or the practice, can you kind of just very lightly touch on that a little bit?
Sure. Kabbalah is a spiritual study. It's actually like the seed of all the spiritual studies because it came about before any religion.
Mm-hmm.
And it's just basic knowledge of why we're in this world, what we're here to do, and how we can do it. And
What
the
led you to
basic
that?
knowledge, I'm sorry to interrupt you, is human dignity, to treat each other with respect and to love each other.
Powerful, powerful. And what do you feel like led you towards, what were you drawn to? Like what was the catalytic event or the aha moment around, I want to study this, I want to practice this, I want to start implementing this into my life?
I think I've always been seeking for it.
Mm-hmm.
Like when I was 8 years old in Iran, I found a yoga book and I started doing yoga. Like that's, I've always been looking. And I was interested in meditation. So I got a book that was Kabbalah and talked about meditation. So I go, okay, I want to do that. So then when I walked into the Kabbalah Center, I go, I'm home. That was the
Mm,
place that brought the the knowledge that's very deep into a practical way of using it in your life. So it's not like I don't study Kabbalah that it's just like studying it. I learn how to use it in my everyday life, and
yeah.
I use it to help people with it.
I love that. That just really reinforces what we've been learning on here on the podcast. It's something that I teach, the people who I work with every day, whether it be through, courses, webinars, the classes I teach, the events, is I always try to remind people that we're born knowing, and what we're naturally attracted to is meant for us. And we attract the vibration of what it is that we are. And if we just trust that, and when we're kids, we just trust, right? We haven't really learned all that fear-based whatnot yet. So I love that you mentioned, at 5 and 8 years old, you were already drawn to all of these things that kind of led you to here you are much later on in life, and you're still implementing that wisdom. That brings me to, we are going to be talking about stress today and next level transitioning. The title of this episode is Body Wisdom. You're not stuck, you're next level transitioning. And this is a big thing here because I feel like when myself included, when we're on the path and we're leveling up, no matter where we are and how much work we've done, I think we can all identify with this feeling of being stuck, or it's like I've unlearned this and I've gotten this far, but man, I just can't seem to get past this. And I want to quote you here. You say here, stress is not a life sentence. It's a signal from the body asking us to realign. And it is so true. It is so true. There's so many times that we've been taught to ignore the body or suppress what the body is saying to us. And of course, naturally, this leads to dis-ease. It leads to suppression of our intuition. It leads to ailments, physical pain, just so many different things here. And so I'm just kind of curious if there was any type of a catalytic or an aha moment that led you to where you are today. I know that you and I talked about there's a recent diagnosis with you that you're kind of navigating here around high blood pressure.
It's not a
And
diagnosis because I haven't addressed it chemically yet, uh,
okay,
because I want to work on it by myself. I mean, I know enough that I can monitor and not be in danger. So
mhm.
I'm doing that. But it was, I'm going along, living, doing my spiritual work, the physical work, and then the challenge comes, right? What's a
Mhm.
challenge? High blood pressure. Okay, you go through stages, panic, then you go, okay, who can I reach out to? And then you start listening to yourself and to your body. That's what
Mhm.
I started doing. And I've always wanted to be more in tune with my body, but I felt like I'm not hearing it.
Mhm.
So with this high blood pressure, I'm listening more. I'm forced to listen. I see how my emotions affect my body. I
Mm.
see what foods do to my body. I see what activity does to my body. I'm more in tune with the supplements that I take and what they do to my body. Before, this was it was an area that I was blind to. We all have blind spots, right? I've always said, okay, my body doesn't matter. I have all these things to do, all these people to help, all these things that I need to take care of. And the body was always the last consideration.
Mm.
Like I raised 4 kids, most of it as a single mom. And it's, you know, you just put yourself in a back burner. And my
Mhm.
body said, nope,
Yeah,
no more.
divine intervention. Yeah, yeah, divine intervention. It's interesting because after we spoke, I've gone through my own aha moments around that. So I took a moment to look up the spiritual meaning for high blood pressure. because I know some people in my life who are being affected by that, or who have been affected by that. And the one thing that I found was it's all heart chakra related. And what do we know about the heart chakra? Self-love, implementing boundaries, caring for ourselves the way we did other people, allowing ourselves to practice the pause, really slowing down to level up. So it sounds like you're at some point on your journey here, which, you're leveling all of that up. I call it self-lovery. There's a self-lovery
I love
challenge
that.
that yes, there's this self-lovery challenge that the universe is presenting to you. And, I think it's so important for us to slow down and look at how much balance am I missing by doing these extremes in life, whether it's career, relationship, robotic thinking, putting everyone else first before ourselves, which, that's a learned behavior, breaking generational trauma, letting go of the expectations of what society or family has implemented on all of us,
Right.
And I think that this is so beautiful for a pharmacist to be I'm looking at alternative healing in addition to my pharmaceutical knowledge. What have you been doing for this? What has this been teaching you?
It's been teaching me to really listen,
Mm-hmm.
really listen. I don't think, I mean, I think of myself as an observant person.
Mm-hmm.
When it comes to other people, definitely I am, but I haven't been to myself. So now I'm learning to listen to myself, my desires, my body. There's a stigma to like taking care of yourself, especially for my generation, right? Nowadays, the younger people are more prone to think of themselves. I think they've swung too much to the other end, that they take care of themselves and they don't care about other people. But like my generation, the older people, we think that it's almost like bad to take care of yourself.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yeah. No, I can see that, when I see like my parents' generation or let alone my grandparents' generation, and I think back to what I witnessed as a child. To be honest with you, none of that made sense to me. Some of the way that the patriarchal type of thinking and doing and being just felt so weird to me. And I look back at some of the things that I'm currently witnessing or that I witnessed as a child, and I go, well, no wonder now that I know what I know, no wonder mom went through that. No wonder grandma went through that. No one, they weren't listening to themselves. They weren't honoring themselves. They weren't listening to their intuition. They were, taking codependency over self-love. They were implementing boundaries, all that kind of stuff. And I went through something very similar, and I feel like it's important, um, not to bring any shame into this, that this is something that we learn. And when we're in this next level transition, it's so important to practice the pause and honor what our body wisdom is saying to us so that we can get to that next level of consciousness.
That's right. And the way I think about it, the older generation had to do what they had to do. That
Mm-hmm.
at that time, it was important that they live like that. So I don't look at them and say, oh, you made a mistake, or I look at my younger self and say, oh, you made a mistake. I don't think about it like that.
Mm-hmm.
If they didn't live like that, we wouldn't be where we are and do what we're doing.
Right.
Because if they didn't
Right.
sacrifice and give us what they gave us, we wouldn't have that to build on to then go to the next level.
Right. Right. And that was a big eye opener for me. I didn't share very much with you the last time we spoke, but I definitely want to bring it to today's podcast. How much worry affects us physically. And I know that we highlighted this a little bit when we spoke originally. Um, but I went through my own challenge, about 8, 9 years ago. I ended up in the hospital with a massive kidney stone, and that's not something that I've ever battled. And long story short, it was way bigger than what they initially thought it was. And I couldn't pass it on my own. And they thought I could. And so I ended up in the hospital actually 3 times. And then when they finally realized what was going on, they had me in there for emergency surgery.
Wow.
And I remember the doctor saying to me, "You have no history of this. What's going on within you, or what's going on at home, or what's going on in your life? Because did you know that kidney stones are related to stress?" And at that time, I was like, "Wait, what? Kidney stones are related to stress?" You hear about not hydrating enough, or the foods that you're eating, which of course at that time I was not taking care of myself the way I do now at all. But it made me go ping. There was a little pinger that went off, and I never felt so seen as I did in that particular moment at that time, was because the doctor knew that something else was going on inside of me. He was slowed down enough to listen to me. And I was like, well, I'm in this constant fight or flight. I was a business owner. I owned, I was doing all kinds of stuff around multi-level, or not multi-level, multimedia, all kinds of stuff that just required focus. And my needs were kind of pushed to the side. And it led me to having to not only go through this emergency surgery, but then I had to stay in bed for a few weeks after that, and I couldn't do anything, nothing. And so, what does that lead you to? Feeling, right? And I think that this is a big part of why so many of us suppress what the body is saying to us, is because with feeling comes what? Clarity, right? So I'm laying there in bed, Tamar, and all of these emotions start coming up that I have not allowed myself to feel, not only in my adult life, but from childhood through that moment. I am going through my initial spiritual awakening, and it hit me like a ton of bricks. The lack of boundaries, the lack of self-lovery, implementing, let alone maintaining boundaries. I didn't even know what a boundary was, or what I was willing or not willing to accept at that moment in my life. So to sum all of this up, the body is always communicating with us. And when we're feeling like we're being forced to slow down, or we're feeling as though, we just got hit with a catalytic diagnosis, or something, there's a deeper meaning. And I love Louise Hay's body,
I
How to
love it.
Heal Your Life. Yeah, yeah, her books around her body wisdom, all of that. But there's always a deeper meaning. So when I dove a little bit deeper, the kidney actually has a lot to do with a rebirth and a spiritual awakening. And I was like, of course. I was having kidney issues at that time because I went through a massive rebirth. So I was just worried all the time, creating false scenarios in my head, things that never ever happened, but I was worried anyways. And I think that so many people who are listening to this are going to relate to that. Do you find that to be kind of a similar path? And that's what you're, growing through? Like, what about I guess my question here is, how much does worry truly affect us? What are you finding on this journey for your own self?
Worry affects us immensely.
Hmm.
When my kids were young, I used to worry all the time. Listen, I still worry, but back then I would worry so much that it would sometimes paralyze me. So I had this game I used to play with myself. I would say, okay, I'm worried about this. Okay, so what would happen if that happened? So this would happen. What would happen? So I would take it to the nth degree. And the nth degree was I'm gonna die. And then I would start laughing because how ridiculous is that? You
Hmm.
know, it's like, and then I would laugh, it would change my mood, and I would go on. That's the game I played with myself to stop my worrying.
Hmm. Yeah, I had to do something very similar. I had to reprogram some of those transmitters in my head around, I would say, okay, it's okay. And I would offer myself grace. It's okay that I had that thought, but now I'm going to focus to dwell on something else. And I would think of three things that I was grateful for, or three things that I wanted to manifest, or three things that were going really well in my life at that time, even if it was just something very simple.
Right.
And what that did over time was it rewired my brain, you
Another
know?
good trick is when you worry about something, it's like, okay, can I change it?
Hmm.
If so, how? And take an action. I think
Hmm.
when we take an action, it really takes us out of that emotion, and because you're doing something. And if you can't do anything about it, okay, I can't do anything about it, so that's it.
Hmm.
There's no
Yeah,
there's no sense to worry.
absolutely. And another thing that I did at that particular time, something that helped me because, it is just energy. And so energy isn't meant to sit stagnant, right? It causes that heart palpitation or that stress or the butterflies in the chest. So I would take myself for a walk and I would start challenging myself to shift the energy in 15 minutes or less. And I started saying things to myself like shift that shit. I made it a game. I made it a joke. And I later on taught clients how to do this. And I would say, okay, it's time to shift that shit. You can do this. And I would go for a walk. I would go for a run. I would go to the gym. I would, whatever I needed to do to not sit there on my couch or to not sit there in my room and just ruminate on what if this happens, because it wasn't doing me any good at all. And so I started implementing, little tactics like that to reprogram. And over time, what I realized was that this was inherited trauma. This was something I learned as a child. This was something that society taught me. This is something that I learned from the relationships I had been in. This is something that I was, as somebody who's highly sensitive, absorbed from other people. And I, at that time, did not know that I didn't actually believe some of that stuff. It was programmed into me. And so I spent a lot of time alone after that. When I first went through my initial awakening, I decided to spend a lot of time alone and get in tune with my own vibration. And the more I did that, the more I healed. Not only my body, but my mind, my frequency, I elevated. I started taking better care of myself in all the ways, and I just cleansed. It felt like a deep, deep, deep spiritual cleansing. And I know that that's something that sounds like you're growing through right now as well.
Another level of it. That's right.
Hmm. Yeah.
Sometimes we're programmed to that worry is a good thing. Like you're supposed to worry about your kids. What, you're not worried about your kid? Like, what kind of mother are you?
Hmm.
It's like you feel bad if you don't worry. I don't know if you're around with mothers and like,
Hmm.
it's like, what? You have to worry about your kids. You don't know what they're doing. You're not worried about them.
Hmm.
It's like you feel bad for not worrying. It's like, okay.
Yeah.
It's just a
Right.
cultural programming.
Yeah, that's exactly what it is. And there's a lot of shame around that. And I also find myself around mothers who they've become so enmeshed in kids and they're so focused on the kids' life that they've lost touch with themselves as well. And so I've noticed I've had a lot of parents or a lot of mothers in particular who, kids are out of the house, they've graduated, they've gone off to college or they've gotten married and they find themselves going through an awakening going, who am I?
Right.
And they don't have that to worry on anymore. And they've realized that now they're going through a heart awakening experience,
They
you
have
know?
nothing to busy their mind with because the whole time they were busy focusing on not themselves.
Hmm. So
What
then
they
that
came
inner
to this world to do.
Right, right. That inner child starts coming up. And that's really what I feel like that body wisdom is and the intuition is it's that little girl or that little boy inside of you that's been trying so hard to get you to find balance and to cherish or cherish her and respect him, and it's we could go down the rabbit hole around that, but moving forward, the illnesses, as somebody who is in pharmacy, what is something that, how can physical disease show up in the body as we're next level transitioning, you mentioned something about repressed emotions earlier. How does this manifest as physical disease as we're leveling up on the awakening path? What would you have to say to somebody who's getting moved through this?
First, sometimes people are not ready to hear that this ease in your body is actually good for you.
Mm. Mm.
They are scared of it. They are panicking, and they don't see anything good in it.
Right. They go straight to fear.
Straight to fear, worry, and God forbid if someone has some sort of tumor, right? Oh, you go to surgery and you take it out. Does that take care of the issue? It doesn't.
Right.
But if you do your spiritual work, if you do the work, I'm not saying that sometimes the tumor shrinks and goes away, yes, but sometimes you do your work and then you do the surgery and then you're okay.
Yeah. It's fascinating. And of course, if you have a disease, you have to go listen to your doctor. You have to do all the things you have to do. I'm not saying that, you can have one without the other. It's an integrative practice, but it's been fascinating for me when I've done readings and I've actually brought through what's going on with the client before the doctors do. Or something will come through that the doctor misses because it's energetically still there.
Right.
And I'll recommend to the client, go get a second, you know, opinion on this. And then the client will come back to me and go, wow, this doctor who actually slowed down enough to listen to me, did the test, found this that you were picking up on energetically in the reading. And it always blows my mind because they've been given every test and every indicator that everything's fine. But then someone else goes and looks at it and they go, oh, and then they start implementing some kind of energy work or frequency work or therapy or whatever modality works for them. And they start healing.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
It's very
It's
powerful.
fascinating.
It's very
Mm-hmm.
powerful because we're energetic beings.
Yeah. Yeah.
Even our
First and
body is
foremost.
energetic.
Absolutely. And that's something that I always tell people when you're on this path of awakening and ascension, you know, the first thing you have to learn is that you know nothing. We know nothing. And the quicker we accept that, there's always something more to unlearn or relearn and to listen to our body. Um, it's fascinating how what shows up physically is there energetically all along. The physical body and the emotional body are merging. And so, as you're being asked to move from fear to love, anything that's in that emotional body or that physical body, it's going to be asked to move up in vibration because you're raising your vibration. So, it has to be purged out of you. So many different things can come up, things that you haven't thought of since you were 5, since you were 10, since you were 12, that event that you've been suppressing and don't want to think about, that aspect of yourself that you're denying, the whatever the story may be, whatever your soul's journey is, will come up for resolution.
That's right, because it has to get resolved for you to move on.
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
just how it is. We
Right.
work it's not, we don't go up like that. We don't even go up like that. We go up like this.
It's a spiral. Yep, it's a spiral. And I love that you're bringing that up because there's been so many times that I've had people that I've worked with over the years go, I thought I healed this, but this trigger is coming back up again for me. And this is where we offer ourselves grace and self-compassion, and we honor the journey for what it's teaching us, and just, know that the entire path is just that. It's a spiral.
It's a spiral.
Mm-hmm.
That's right. And according to Kabbalah, everything has 10 levels. And within the 10 levels, there's 10 levels. So we're always leveling up. Sometimes we level up, and sometimes we take a quantum leap.
Mm. Can you explain that just a little bit deeper?
The quantum leap is we're at a level, we work hard, we work hard, we work hard, and we don't see any results. Nothing. Like nothing is moving, nothing is changing. And then all of a sudden, we just jump a level. You know, like how electrons jump from one level to the other, right? They don't just go, they don't just walk up, they just jump. So the same with us. We take quantum leaps.
It's so funny that you're mentioning that word. My boyfriend tells me all the time, he goes, "You're a quantum leaper." He tells me that all the time. So I find that very synchronistic that you're saying that to me right now. He goes, "You make these massive leaps in your life, and you've got this energy about you that when you're going to accomplish something, you accomplish it, and it's wild." So, but to the other side of that, before I do make those quantum leaps, the resistance that I met with is insane.
Yes. But
It like is every reason in the world to doubt. Every reason in the world.
but see that resistance and resisting that resistance is the thing that allows for the quantum leap.
Hmm. Yes. Yes. And just leaning into it and going, this is where I am. There's nothing that can, something's being shown to me here. And I always compare it to we're making space for what's to come. And this version of me isn't able to hold what future version of me is going to be able to hold. So I have to drain the old bathwater to make room for a new, refreshing experience. And so I've really had to learn my own personal journey. I'm sure somebody out there is laughing as they listen to this or raising their hand, going, "Yep, that's me." I've had to let go of control or the illusion of control over and over and over again. And then spirit goes, "Ha, told you so."
Yeah,
And it's the second I let go of that that I tend to align with the very thing that I'm wanting. And more. Sometimes it's an even better experience than what I thought it was going to be. But I guess that just kind of sums this up where, you're not stuck, you're transitioning. And from what I've, brought through in my reading, spirit is always telling the people who I'm reading, you can't rush this process. So stop trying.
that's right.
You have to practice the pause. The slow down is the level up. You're learning. And if you can really look at this whole situation that you're getting moved through right now, the karma, the destined this or the catalytic that, whatever it is that you're getting moved through, if you can really look at it from a higher perspective and go, what am I learning here? That's when the real transition and growth and consciousness shifts can really happen.
That's right.
It's just that getting yourself to slow down enough is the biggest challenge often.
That's right. The stage is set up for us perfectly. The universe gives us exactly what we need at the right time.
Right.
And we
Are
just
we
have to
willing to
know
listen?
that. We just have to know that.
Right. Right. And be willing to listen. There's synchronicity that plays. One of the big things that most of the people who I meet, of course, they're experiencing angel numbers and they're experiencing intuition growth and catalytic awakenings and, whatever the case may be. And they always chop it up to, oh, well, that's a coincidence. And if there's one thing I can say on this path, and I will say it till I'm blue in the face, there are no coincidences. And your body wisdom is a perfect example of that.
But when you look at the word coincidence,
Mm-hmm.
co-incidence,
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yes. I'm so happy you brought that up. Oh my gosh. I feel like I could talk to you all day. Um, I know that you brought with you a pause exercise, and you said it balances out the left and the right
that's
brain
right.
for
It's
those.
called cortices, and it's a body talk, one of the components of body talk. And it has to do with balancing the left and right brain and calming down the amygdala.
I love it.
So when it's done you'll notice it the first time you do it, but when you do it over and over every day, you can do it a few times a day, you can't overdo it. What it does, it just calms everything down, makes the brain communication more coherent. And you can do it on newborns. I've done it on newborns. You can do it on elderly. You can do it on anyone. It's so gentle.
Okay.
So ready
Will you
to
show
learn?
it to us?
Okay.
Yeah.
So we use both hands. It doesn't matter which hand goes where. With
Okay.
one hand, we cover the whole head, progressively, we're going to cover the head. So we start at the back, we go up, 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 up. So all these hand movements, right? And with the other hand, we're going to tap. We're going to tap on the head, making sure we cover both sides of the head. So we're bringing and aligning our, which mind? The brain mind, right? Because we have three brains, right? So this brain, then we tap on the sternum, which connects us to the heart brain. And then we tap over the navel, that activates our gut brain. Okay? So it goes, and then we take deep breaths in and out.
Okay. I'm going to do a thing here where I'm not going to speak because I want the camera to record you doing this, but I am
Okay.
watching and I will be actively doing it while you're doing it.
Okay. Okay.
Okay.
So we start like this. Back of the head. We move the hand up. Another position. Now we can tap in the front or we can tap in the back. Make sure you go all the way to your eyebrows. Now, the sides of the head. The thumbs are above the ear and here on your temples, more forward, like this. And then we move one hand. And that's it.
Awesome.
How does it feel for you?
Good. I feel like I'm going to take a nap now.
Because you're relaxed. Sometimes you just feel like just a wave of relaxation go through your body. Sometimes you feel, oh, I'm sharper. Sometimes you feel like the stress melting away. When you do it on children, it helps them to study better. It helps them to calm down. And it just, if you do it like we've had experiments where teachers have done it in class with children, and they just focus so much better and learn better, and they behave better because they're coordinated. Their brain is functioning as a whole instead of being disconnected.
I love that you mentioned that because that's something that I feel like so many people get. It gets brought to their attention as they're awakening that they were never taught nervous system regulation.
Right.
And that's a big part of, when your physical body and your spiritual body are merging and you're having to face trauma or repressed emotions or physical, spiritual healing, generational trauma, whatever it is that the journey is taking you down, learning modalities like nervous system regulation, breath work, physical exercise, anything that you can do. This is where our balance comes into play. And this is why I love talking about bridging the gap on this podcast, is that you are a spiritual being having a human experience. You cannot ignore the body.
That's right.
You
That's what I
cannot
try to
ignore.
do.
Right. And me too. It's programmed into us, but we can't because then you have a bunch of ungrounded people walking around living in robot mode, not able to follow their hearts, not trusting their intuition. And we're just amplifying a fear-based frequency on this planet. And when you start listening to the body and really understand what it's trying to teach you, that's when you can tune in, tap in, unlock your natural intuitive psychic abilities because there's not a single person on this planet that's not psychic, not one.
No?
The more you choose love over fear, the stronger those psychic abilities become. When you clear the vessel and you honor the body, guess what? Your radio frequency becomes easier to tune into. Your satellite receiver is able to pick up on the frequencies that spirit's bringing to you every single day, So there's a lot of wisdom that the body's trying to bring in and communicate with us always.
And you know what? We're supposed to enjoy ourselves.
Mhm.
We are supposed to enjoy embodiment. It's not supposed to be a torture.
Right, right. And that may trigger some people who are listening to this because I've dealt with chronic pain. I've dealt with being sick. I've dealt with growing through, being the best possible version of myself as far as mental health. When you're in that, it's really hard to hear something like that.
That's right.
What would you say to somebody who's getting moved through that right now?
You're just going through a process. As hard as it is, there's an end to it. You're not stuck. You're just going through a process.
For some reason, I don't know why this is popping through, but there's a lot of people who deal with like chronic inflammation, which leads to all of this physical dis-ease. And I think that it's important to note that a lot of that comes from repressed emotions as well. And I don't know why I'm being impressed with this while we're talking, but that message is out there for somebody too.
Inflamed thinking. It's
Right.
inflamed thinking, right? It's not just inflammation that comes through food or environmental toxins. It's also inflammation from a toxic mind.
Boom. Boom. I can't tell you how many times I meet people who come to me who have chronic inflammation. Yeah. Yeah. And they have very strong opinions, or they're heavily conditioned and they're resisting their awakening, or they're resisting their intuitive knowing, or, like I said earlier, they're really being moved to that self-lovery challenge. And it's hard because the awakening process busts us wide open to illusions.
Right.
And, a hard awakening experience is the truth.
See, the awakening can come with a tap on the shoulder. And if we're in tune enough and we listen, good. If not, the tap becomes harder. Like,
Hmm.
I got little taps, but I didn't listen. It had to come as a, blood pressure issue for me to say, oh, okay, fine, I'm listening, I'm listening. I need to sleep more? Okay. You mean 4 hours a night is not enough? Okay.
Right, right. And it'll come as a tower moment, and the rug will be pulled from out from underneath you. It'll come as a divorce, as a chronic illness, as a death in the family, as a something will happen. And I know for me to wrap all this up, one of my biggest lessons in this life, and I feel like the people who I work with, and I'm sure you see this all the time with the people you work with, the biggest lesson has been loving myself as much as I love everyone else. Unconditional love and acceptance of the self. And then taking that love and spreading it out to the community.
I
Yeah.
love that. Thank
Oh,
you.
yeah. It's been so lovely talking to you. Where can we find you? I know you have a free gift if you'd love to mention that. Anything you'd like to wrap up with, any quotes, last minute of inspiration here for people who are listening.
Last minute inspiration, be kind to yourself and know that everything is as it is supposed to be. You didn't do anything wrong. There's nothing wrong with you, and you're moving to your perfection.
I love it.
You're gonna have a link, Stephanie.
Yes, for your free gift.
Yeah, so it's just my way of contributing.
Oh, I love it. Okay, well, I will definitely link that below. And thank you so much for being here with us. Thank you for teaching us how to practice pause, and thank you for teaching us that exercise. And we'll talk soon.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us on Divine Soul Journey Evolved. I'm truly grateful to share this space with you. If you'd like to dive deeper, please visit divinesouljourney.net to check out private readings, courses, mastermind workshops, and so much more. Also, just a reminder to check out the links below for any free gifts mentioned during this program that are available to you as you grow through your next level up. Until next time, keep honoring the illogical magic unfolding before you. Trust in your perfectly designed evolution, and remember that you are being divinely guided always.